guys, welcome back to another video. My name is Caroline, I'm a second-year medical student at Columbia University, and today we're going to go into all things med school personal statement. I recently put up a poll on my Instagram, which you can check out up here, and you guys sent in a bunch of great questions on the personal statement, so thank you all for your participation. Today I'm partnering with Motivate MD to share high-yield tips on how to successfully write an amazing personal statement. So without further ado, let's get right into it. And we're starting off with a warm-up. What's a personal statement? Very briefly, the med school personal statement is an essay consisting of a maximum of 5,300 characters that answers the question, why medicine? This is a relatively free-form space where you can craft your own story, share your own narrative, and basically explain how you got to this point of applying to medical school. And I've actually made a very comprehensive video called The Ultimate Guide to the Med School Personal Statement, which I will link up here and in the description below, and it's covered basically all the bases of that. So you should totally check that out after watching this video. Next question. Can you make a comparison to the Common App personal statement? I'm a freshie and need a starting point. Yeah, that's a really great question. I think it's always a good idea to compare something new to something that you've maybe seen before, so it's not so daunting. And also kudos to you for thinking so ahead and thinking about med school apps when you're a freshman in college. You still have some time, but as a little sneak peek, both are meant to give the reader a sense of who you are as a person outside of your GPA, outside of all the other statistics and the standardized testing scores that you send in. The Common App personal statement gives you a choice of up to 6 prompts to choose from, whereas the med school personal statement is kind of just that why medicine prompt. The med school personal statement prompt is pretty general for a reason. It's meant to give you freedom in terms of choosing how to express yourself and also choosing what to write. So I would say it's just as important how you frame things as what exactly you're writing about. So it's both the experience and also how you reflect on the experience. So the exact prompt for the medical school personal statement is, use the space provided to explain why you want to go to medical school. While that is the prompt for the med school personal statement, the Common App personal statement has several prompts for you to choose from. So for example, one prompt asks for a meaningful part of your identity, another asks for a period of personal growth, a captivating topic, and there's a max of 650 words. Whereas for the med school personal statement, you have 5,300 characters, which averages to around a few hundred more words than you get for the Common App essay. So these are actually all prompts that you can use and take a little bit from in terms of thinking about what to write for your personal statement. Although I would be careful in terms of choosing a prompt that is too narrow, because you want to make sure that it covers the baseline question of why medicine, because you can write the greatest essay in the world, but if it doesn't answer that question, then it's not going to help your case. I do want to say that a lot of these Common App prompts do come up in the secondary applications, so keep those in the back of your mind when you're brainstorming. And I also made a comprehensive guide of the secondary applications and the main topics that you'll see, how to approach those essays, which I will link up above and also in the description below. How do we answer the why doctor and not nurse question? Yeah, so this is another great question. I personally hadn't been asked this throughout my med school application journey, although I have heard of others who have been asked this in their interviews. However, I don't think you necessarily need to worry about including an explicit answer to this in your personal statement. It's more of why do you want to go to medical school in general, not why don't you want to go to nursing school, for example. The only 2 scenarios that come to mind in which you might have to include this in your personal statement, and it's not even a have to, it's just perhaps you want to, is if you're coming from a nursing background, maybe you've worked as a nurse for several years or you finished nursing school, the adcoms might be curious as to why you're not continuing in the nursing field and why you want to make that switch to going to medical school. And maybe another example is if you come from a family of nurses or a family with a strong nursing background and that has been your primary exposure to medicine, why do you want to go to medical school instead of nursing school? I'm sure there are other situations that come up in which someone wants to explain this, but in my mind, I'm kind of thinking about the med school personal statement as why do you want to go to medical school, not why don't you want to go to these other career paths, unless it's like super relevant to your case. So I hope that helps. So the next question is, when should you start writing your personal statement? So personally, I started brainstorming at the end of March, and this was because there was a personal statement workshop held at my school. And so that was really just getting the ball rolling, just like putting the idea out there that yes, there is a personal statement that you will eventually have to submit. And so just kind of like bulleting a few topics and seeing where that would take us. And so I actually stuck with the first idea that I had, and then I kept building on it throughout April, throughout May, and then submitted it in June. And so it's not a one and done process. I think I went through nearly maybe 9 or 10 drafts of my personal statement, not major edits in between drafts, but just like some minor tweaks here and there based on feedback that I received and also from my own personal feeling about it. Start as early as you can, although you don't want to start, for example, when you're in your sophomore year and you're applying in your senior year, because you're going to have so many experiences in between those 2 points. But I would say maybe start a few months before you know you want to submit. So if you're thinking of submitting it in June, then I would start thinking about it around this time or even before. But if you haven't started thinking about it and you're applying this cycle, then this video is your cue to start thinking about it. Okay, next question is, what makes a really good hook? I feel like in the back of my mind, and probably in the back of your minds, is like, these admissions committee members are reading so many applications, hundreds of applications, and it's kind of like, how can you stand out and what can you do to not make them bored? And so I would kind of approach it in a storytelling way. Like, how do you start off a story that makes the reader want to keep reading? The advice that I heard when going in was, don't be generic, don't make it boring, and don't just say, I love science and I love helping people. I think enjoying science and being interested in science and enjoying helping people and having that as a passion is kind of a baseline for what you want your med school applicant to have. And I think it's great if those are the reasons that you're interested in medicine. I feel like those are great reasons to be interested in medicine. I think it's really more about how you frame it. And so I personally enjoy when people bring in stories that are not necessarily related to medicine, but that showcase the qualities of themselves that would be an asset to the medical field. You don't need to spend your entire essay trying to hook the reader in. I think starting off with a small story is enough, and then you can lead into further reasons why you're interested in medicine. So when we're thinking about the hook or like how to start off a story, it's not really what experience to write about, it is what does this experience show about me? And that ties into the next question of, should I focus on only one story or on multiple different ones? I would recommend maybe sticking with 2 relevant experiences, 3 if you're confident that you can weave those together very cohesively. And I would say that you should spend enough time on each experience so that they don't feel superficial, like you're just mentioning them for the sake of mentioning them. They should feel meaningful, because if you're including that in your personal statement, they should be meaningful. And the personal statement crafting process is truly a reflective process. It's a lot of writing, it's a lot of thinking. That's why I'm super excited to be partnering with Motivate MD on this video to share the amazing resources and tools that they have that have led to so many successes in the past. Motivate MD has a team of over 70 med students and doctors located across the country who are experts in crafting the personal statement. What's really cool about their team is that it's composed of editors and advisors who are at various stages of their medical training. From med students who have gathered all the intel from their application cycle and who have just gone through what you're about to go through, to physicians who have the insights into what AdCom members are looking for every step of the way, from primaries to secondaries to interviews. Motivate MD has crucial admissions insights that can help you be memorable among so many applicants. And you can learn so much from reading the personal statement examples that they have up on their website. And so this kind of ties into the next question too, is where should I start? Or how did you weave in your why medicine with anecdotes? I think taking a look at those essays and visiting their websites is a really good way to start. My personal take is what I mentioned before, including 2 to 3 anecdotes that make up your entire personal statement. You can choose to include anecdotes from your clinical experiences as well, and I think that's the most obvious tie-in to why medicine. And again, showcasing traits, showcasing personality traits or skills that you have that would be an asset to the medical field. For example, I started off with an anecdote that was not 100% related to medicine. There was this theme of curiosity that I continued throughout my essay, and I then tied in a clinical experience that showed my communication skills, my curiosity, etc. So I think my tip on how to weave in why medicine is really just carrying a common theme between your stories. Next question is, what if we lack a natural gift for writing but don't want to sound generic? I feel like this question runs through every pre-med's mind at some point, because a lot of the application is about your writing skills, right? Because yes, it's your grades, it's your MCAT score, but it's also how you write things and how you frame things. First answer to this is don't fret. Everyone else is also having very similar thoughts. And I think one part of maybe these thoughts is, in addition to lacking a natural gift for writing, which I'm sure you're a great writer in your own way, there's also this thought of being original and not having something original to say or an original way to frame things. But originality is a myth, because if you think you're original, someone else has probably done that. And instead of trying to just write a personal statement that is so unique and so original, just think of it as adding your own flair to things. One tip that I would have if you feel like you might not be the strongest at writing is gathering feedback from others in your life who might be really great at writing. So whether that be a friend, a classmate, a professor, a TA, or if you have a writing center at your school, that was very helpful for me personally. And I think sometimes the hardest thing when you feel like you don't have a natural gift for something is starting to do that something. And so I would recommend, after watching this video, just taking a piece of paper and write down these specific experiences that you might want to include in your personal statement. And really just write it as it is, without any fluff, just concretely what the thing is. And then as you work on improving your essay and making different versions of it, kind of adding in some imagery, adding in maybe even some dialogue or conversation. And in that way, it'll slowly become better and better. So next question, and I'm going to group a couple of these questions together. First question is, what do you think is the most important aspect of explaining why medicine? And very similarly, what do you think was the most important part of your personal statement? I don't think there was a singular most important part of the essay or of why medicine. I think it's kind of the feeling that you leave the reader with, which for some people might be an annoying answer because you're like, how can I control what the reader feels? But in a way, you kind of can. The way you tell stories can have a significant impact on how a reader feels about it. So ideally, they will leave reading your piece with the thought of, wow, I want this person to be my future doctor. And so that's why it's so important to get feedback and to really ask specific questions to the person that's giving you feedback. Could you maybe summarize what you learned from my essay in 1 or 2 sentences? Or can you describe how you feel after reading my essay in 1 to 2 words? That gives you a lot of insight into really what the other side is perceiving you as writing, and really what your readership is gathering from everything that you're putting out there. Sometimes it's helpful to have someone who doesn't really know you that well give feedback on your piece, because they'll be sitting from the standpoint of the AdCom members who are really just learning about you from an application. Becca, who is the COO of Motivate MD, has generously shared this opportunity for my viewers to receive free feedback on their personal statement. All you have to do is email your personal statement to support@motivatemd.com, and Becca will have one of their editors read it and provide feedback as to whether you're on the right track, one aspect of your essay that you can improve on, and also their top piece of advice that will help to make your essay more effective. In addition to this free offer, Motivate MD is committed to providing superior application support at a price that pre-meds can actually afford, with 100% satisfaction guaranteed. You can use the code Caroline to receive 5% off of any package that you choose, and you can feel free to text or call Becca if you have any questions on any of the packages, and I'll include her number in the description below. Thank you all so much for watching this video, and I hope it was helpful, and I hope that you have a really meaningful time reflecting on your experiences, reflecting on what has brought you to this point of applying to medical school. And I always really appreciate your questions and comments, so please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and please share this video with anyone that you think would find it helpful. Also, if you guys have made it to this very end, I also wanted to give super short updates on what I've been doing during clinical years. So my last vlog featured 3 weeks of my surgical subspecialty experience. Since then, I've completed neurology, psychiatry, and there was this mechanisms and practice week in between, which is basically like a kind of like a lecture week with a few days off at the end. And we have just started with our OBGYN rotation. So I'm really looking forward to sharing my reflections on these experiences with you all, and let me know in the comments below if that's something that you'd be interested in, and hopefully I can get that up sometime soon. So thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!